My name is Oshun. On this channel, we uncover the creepiest, most unusual haunted TikToks the internet has to offer for entertainment purposes. Please do me a favor and like, comment, and subscribe to the Soul Chat for your weekly dose of supernatural, coming to you every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursdays. Y'all are my soul tribe. Tribe is with a Y because the Y is for you. And that's because I love you so freaking much. Yes, I do. Thank you for being here with me. I appreciate your time, baby, and I do not take it for granted. And with that being said, today's shout out goes to Miss Angela Bailey Sweet Candy 4270. She said, yes, just in time. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, beautiful. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your support. Thank you for continuing to watch my videos and comment. And if you want to be next one to be shouted out, make sure you just comment something pretty nice, beautiful, kind, and just, stand out from the crowd. And then when I find you, you're going to be up here. Okay. I love you. I love it. I love it. I love it. Anyway, let's get to the video.
So Amber likes to smoke, so she went in there to get a free pipe, whatever. And it's weird because in my mind, I never thought demons are supposed to protect you, but this is where a lot of stuff get contradicting, and it confuses me because I didn't expect demons to be protective of chosen ones or people who are the bearer of light, which is a whole nother story that I'll get into. But
She's beautiful.
Basically intercepted that demon trying to do whatever he was trying to do. But I saw
gorgeous.
Both of their true forms, except for this one wasn't trying to harm me and the other one was. And that other one was a vampire. Straight up vampire.
All right, boo. That's all I have, y'all. It's not my fault that it cut off. Chill out.
All right, that was really deep right there. Sorry. Oh, that was a big alligator just bit our tire.
Whoa. I just seen my very first alligator outside of the zoo, literally right around the corner from where I live at in the man-made lake. And I guess they travel through the little tunnels and go to the different lakes. But I thought that was so cool. And he was huge. He or she was huge, okay? But I was excited to see that.
This is the scariest house in New York, the Ker Mansion. Built in the 1800s, originally by Balthazar Kreischer, this house was intended to be lived in by one of his two sons, Charles and Edward. But in a shocking twist of fate, one day Edward randomly walked out of his home with a pistol and took his own life. To this day, no one knows if he actually took his own life or if he was murdered, but his ghost has been seen in the house to this day. There were also a couple of children that died in here, including kids Albert and Henry. The kids used to be locked in this upstairs closet for punishment, and let me tell you, the energy up there is dark. But the tragedy inside of this house only continued into the 2000s when a man named Rob was brutally murdered in a mob hit in the first floor. They punched him, sliced him, attacked him, tried to drown him, but they eventually succeeded in killing Rob, and his body was then dismembered inside of the kitchen and in the basement. And it was in this room where Charles Kreischer used to conduct seances to attempt to talk to his dead brother. Apparently, he opened doors at those seances that he never closed. We spent the night in here ghost hunting. We had the whole house to ourselves, and we recorded some of the craziest paranormal activity we've seen to date. The full video is coming on Monday.
Period. That's amazing footage. See that palm tree bent over? They don't break though, they just bend right back. Tornado. Gotta be amazing footage.
What is it in your house?
Look at it. It's going through my furniture already.
Wow. So what are you gonna do now?
I don't know. That's we thinking about. See what we're gonna do, because we can't stay here.
You can't stay here.
No, I don't lost everything, so it's no.
You've lost everything. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
After so many years struggling, finally got my Section 8.
Oh, wow.
Good. And back again.
Wow.
With the struggle. And we're here.
But you're here. You survived.
Yeah. Thank God nothing happened to us. There's more people that's worse than us.
Yeah.
So.
Do you have family you could stay with?
Yeah. My daughter.
Okay.
She told me to go down that way.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Thank you for
But I
spending.
didn't want to leave my stuff.
I know.
That's
It's
why.
hard. This is your life.
Yeah.
These are your memories.
Yeah.
These are the things that you've acquired over a life that I'm sure hasn't been easy.
No. I was in the street for 3 years and it took me a hard time. Took it where I'm at. Yeah.
Wow.
Back again.
I hope she was able to get some assistance. I hope she's doing better since then. It's been maybe a month or so since the storm. Yeah, that's really sad. My condolences to her and her family.
Terrifying creature was spotted emerging from Hurricane Milton just after it made landfall in Florida. You'll be shocked to find out what it was. Last night, Hurricane Milton, described by scientists as one of the greatest catastrophes of all time, finally made landfall with devastating force. What no one could have imagined was that, amid the fury of the winds, a bizarre figure would emerge from the eye of the hurricane.
People
Witnesses
just want
described the creature
clickbait
as something
for
out of a nightmare.
anything.
Its skin was dark and shiny
Crazy.
like tar. Its eyes glowed like embers, and its limbs were
Your mother.
abnormally long, almost inhuman. It moved slowly, but had a threatening presence, emitting a black smoke that made the air thick and suffocating. Panic spread quickly, and people fled in terror. A woman in shock called the authorities, and the
Nice.
military was dispatched immediately. When they arrived, soldiers set up a perimeter around the creature, but as they
And some people will believe
they
this,
felt
like,
an
guess
inexplicable
what?
chill in the
Oh
air.
my
What they
goodness.
discovered
Did you
defied all
know?
understanding.
No.
The creature
I
didn't seem
didn't.
to be from this
It's
world.
fake.
To see
Okay.
the creature, click more and comment Milton for part 2.
That's why I'm talking over the story, because it was bullshit. Hold your horses, calm down. You're all right.
No matter what you think of Florida, there is no denying that it is very, very haunted. Due to the recent devastation of Hurricane Ian, we are skipping ahead to my home state for Haunted US. First up, we have the very spooky history and hauntings of Bellamy Bridge in Northwest Florida. Elizabeth Bellamy was the young daughter of a plantation owner who fell in love with a doctor and was soon to be married. On the day of their wedding, the bride, dressed in a beautiful gown, went upstairs to take a rest. While Elizabeth was sleeping, the sleeve of her dress caught fire from a nearby candle. The bride ran down the ornate staircase trying to get help, but her hair and her dress were already engulfed in flames. She never recovered from her wounds and died a few days later. In her last moments on her deathbed, the last words she spoke to her husband were, "I will love you always and forever, never will I leave you." Dr. Samuel Bellamy, her husband, never recovered from the tragedy, becoming an alcoholic and committing suicide 15 years later. Sadly, the tradition at the time was to bury victims of suicide in unmarked graves. It is believed that now Elizabeth wanders the swamps under Bellamy Bridge, searching for the grave of her husband. The legend goes that a woman in a white dress has been seen crossing the bridge many times with fire all around her. Some have even heard the soft voice of a woman whispering, "I will love you always and forever, never will I leave you." Next, we have Launch Complex 34. This is the site where a flash fire broke out on the Apollo 1, killing all 3 crew members almost instantly. NASA employees as well as visitors have reported hearing screams from around the launch pad. Visitors also report that there is a very heavy, almost suffocating energy surrounding the area. Next is one of my personal favorites, the I-4 Dead Zone. Connecting Florida's east and west coast, I-4 has a long history of wrecks and strange sightings. In 1887, many people died of yellow fever in Florida, including a German immigrant family of 4. They were buried in what is today Sanford, Florida, without receiving last rites. Several years later, a man purchased the land and found these 4 rotting crosses on his property. After disturbing the graves, his house mysteriously burned down. In the 1950s, the land was sold to build the I-4 corridor, and the graves had been roped off to move them, but they never were. Thus, the dead zone was born. Since 1963, from 1,500 to over 2,000 accidents have occurred in this area, many resulting in death. People also began seeing strange things in this area in the early 90s. People have seen things like a phantom white horse, orbs floating across the highway, and it is very common for phones to not work at all in the dead zone. There are many, many other scary stories and hauntings across Florida, so if you would like a part 2, let me know.
Yes, please. I live in Florida. Let me know. Where's this shit at? Okay. You can get off the I-4 exit and be at my house in about 2 to 5 minutes. Okay? Hold up now.
Hey, y'all. It's me, the money professor. Come closer, come closer. I want to tell you about an account that millionaires and billionaires have been leveraging for multiple decades to build tax-free riches. Guess what? So can you. Seriously, you can. Watch. It's called an IUL, uninterrupted compound interest. IUL stands for Index Universal Life Insurance Policy, but it's an uninterrupted compound interest. First of all, you're never going to lose a single penny when the market crashes because you are protected by a 0% floor. With that being said, this account only allows you to participate in the upside of the market. That's guaranteed money. Third, it allows you to build tax-free retirement income for the rest of your life and leave a freaking legacy for your family. Connect with me now to find out if you qualify. Yes, you have to qualify. Connect with me now. Hit the link. Hey y'all, I'm the money professor. The government hates to tell us how to create generational wealth, how to grow our money tax-free, and how to get out of debt. But what if I told you life insurance was the answer? Would you believe me? That's why so many of my people stay in poverty and end up working until they die. We run away from the thought of life insurance because we were programmed to think only about death insurance. In reality, life insurance is the only vehicle where you can create generational wealth, grow your money tax-free, and have a retirement plan all in one, as well as life insurance. Don't let the government fool you. Life insurance is for the living. That's why it's called life insurance and not death insurance. Did you know that setting aside as little as $300 from each paycheck into a max-funded IUL instead of a 401k can give you $610,000 tax-free money and will provide you with $60,000 a year tax-free in retirement? Comment IUL below if you want more information. If you're open to being a financial professional licensed in your state, please send me an email at essence@tenaciouscashflowacademy.com.
With the hurricane currently hitting Tampa right now, I feel like this is a good time to tell you guys things that can come with the rain. During severe inclement weather, a lot of people report seeing lights penetrating through their windows, not lightning, more of a searchlight. On top of this, many report hearing footsteps on their roof or around the perimeter of their house. Oftentimes, when the power goes out, people will hear knocks at their door. In the corner of their house, in the dark areas, they'll see shadows. These shadows quickly disappear as soon as you look at them, though. Many others report hearing panting by their windows as if the person or thing outside is running from window to window, door to door, trying to find a way to get in. Others that live alone and sleep report waking up to someone breathing over them, but when they get up and look, nobody is there. So if you're one of the ones in the hurricane, stay safe, be alert, and stay alive.
Use a goddamn lie. Not around these parts, okay?
What? In only 12 hours, Hurricane Milton went from a stage 1 to a stage 5 hurricane, bruh. This shit
Boy,
is
we was
definitely
terrified,
not normal,
okay?
bruh. Embassy says that Hurricane Milton approaches limits of what Earth's atmosphere can even produce. I don't even know what that's supposed to even mean, bruh. But at the end of the day, this shit is nearing historic territory, meaning that this hurricane is like none other than any meteorologist has seen, any scientist can even fathom, bruh. Sheriffs around Florida have been telling people to evacuate immediately, mandatory, no option, bruh. And look at this long ass line of traffic of people trying to evacuate. I'm not even gonna lie to you, bruh. This is insane. Like, I don't know what the hell, bro. Like, 2024 is just filled with so much crazy stuff. We have Diddy, then we have this, bro. If you were still in Florida or Tampa, wherever, if you are not evacuating by now, bro, I mean, I might have lost words. Like, there's just no way.
I'm in Tampa. Like, I'm alive.
Lost up there because all of this stuff is coming out. You have scientists, meteorologists, like shedding tears because this is just so crazy. Like, get out, bro. And I don't know what else is supposed to come, but this is not normal,
bro. It was not normal.
This story scared me, and it's from Houston, Texas. If you're scared of elevators, this is just gonna make you even more scared. So this guy works in constructions and buildings in Houston, Texas. At around 6:15 in the morning, his boss sends him to the basement to get some stuff that they need. On the way to the elevator, he meets up with another coworker who also needs to go to the basement for other stuff. By the way, they're on the 19th floor. On the way down, the elevator stops on floor 6, and an older lady goes in there with them. This lady never looked at them or talked to them. She was just standing there waiting with them. And when the elevator got to the basement, the two men get off and she stays in the elevator. When the elevator went back up with the old lady, the guy turns to his coworker and says, "Isn't it weird that she just got on to go all the way down to the basement with us and is going back up?" His coworker gave him like the strangest look ever and was like, "What old lady?" So of course he was like, "On the 6th floor where the elevator stopped." His coworker was like, "No one got on the elevator when it stopped on the 6th floor. I think you're still half asleep." He still can't figure out what the hell happened that day because he saw an old lady, he says that she looked like she was in her 70s, get in that elevator. Okay. But he was also a little creeped out because at the time, this building was under construction. No one was living there. A 70-year-old was not working with them. So he's still like, who was this old lady? Can you imagine? You still have to work there and you still have to go in the elevator. Fuck, no.
I need someone to explain to me what the hell is going on with this plane. Do y'all see that flight pattern? Coincidentally, that's the same path that the hurricane is gone. I understand that planes fly over the hurricane, but never the flight path that we just seen. I just find it so crazy that the plane, y'all seen the path, it came down, looped around, and went up through Florida, like to Tampa. And this hurricane is aiming straight forward. Like, bruh. But TikTok, this is strictly for entertainment purposes only. I am not saying that the plane had anything to do with where the hurricane is gone. Hurricane Milton, they are saying this thing is Category 6. It is blowing with winds up to 200 miles an hour. What? Y'all, these are weird times we're in. Like I said, that hurricane is just strange as fuck. That's all I'm gonna say. I can't say too much. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Pray for the people that didn't make it out of Florida.
Yeah, that shit was crazy. And my thing is, that roar that I heard over top of my roof, because I'm on the top floor, like the bottom floor, they had to be worried about flooding. Top floor, we had to be worried about that wind, baby. And that stuff sounded horrifying. Like, I went in my closet. I didn't know where else to go. Like, I could have went into my toilet area because my toilet is separate from my bathroom and I got the tub and separate shower. I didn't know if I should have went inside the shower. I didn't know if I should have went in the toilet area or in my walk-in closet, which is in between my bedroom and my bathroom. And they say go into the innermost part. So, baby, I went into the closet and I politely made me a pallet to sleep on, okay? And I went to sleep in my closet, well, you know, with the noise going. And I had somebody who, you know, was really a stranger to me, but they were in a zone where they had to evacuate because they were right by the water. And so, I welcomed them into my home. This Negro wanted to act big, tough, and bad. Not from Florida either. And tried to act like he was like, trying to laugh at me because I went in my closet. But I'm terrified. Do what you gonna do. Of course, he brought his black ass in that closet because he got scared too. Like, come on now, we used to the snowstorms. We not used to this water storm, okay? Hell no. But it was cool, you know. Leading this to say, I really have not talked to him or seen him since then because you got me all the way after. I don't like that big bag and tough shit. Like, be who you are. Like, anyway, next video.
In the heart of Louisiana stands Myrtle's Plantation, a mansion dripping with dark history and restless spirits. Built in 1796, it's said to be home to at least 12 ghosts, each with a tragic tale. The most famous is Chloe, a slave girl whose ear was cut off for eavesdropping. In revenge, she poisoned the plantation owner's family, only to be hanged by fellow slaves. Visitors report seeing Chloe's ghostly form, complete with a turban covering her missing ear. A bloodstain on the parlor floor refuses to be cleaned, always reappearing in the shape of a human body. Children's laughter echoes through empty rooms, their spectral forms glimpsed in mirrors. The grand piano plays by itself, haunting melodies drifting through the night. Beds shake violently, objects move on their own, and cold spots chill visitors to the bone. Some guests wake to find themselves tucked in tightly, as if by an unseen caretaker. Is it merely legend? Or do the victims of Myrtle's violent past still linger, unable to find peace? For more tales of America's most haunted locations, like and follow. But remember, some guests never check out.
Like and follow. Share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, ding, so you don't miss a notice the next time your girl drops another video. Thank you.
That's it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I don't know how I still have power. The river has fully come in. Reporting live from Tampa, Florida. The river has come into the home. And yeah, global warming. It's a thing. Turn this light off.
And I'm lightweight tired of these
being destroyed anyway.
Apartments. I want a house.
I'm gonna save my light.
That's
put that
why
there.
I have not got a house yet.
I'm gonna need a new chlorine thing for the pool, because that's gonna blow away.
At least down here in Florida.
I wedged it in there. Oh, gosh. Anywho, how y'all doing? This is inside the house. Oh, the stove I bought off Marketplace. This is my evacuation plan. I got this canoe raft thing. Thank you for the galaxy. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the double tapping of the gifts and the things. It's a mess.
A pink plastic boat is your evacuation plan? What? Oh, what? I think if I do decide to move into a home, I don't know, bro. I'm just going to have like all important things up on high shelves always, just in case. I don't know. How do you escape? Like, I don't know. If I get there, we'll get there. I'd rather just buy me a mansion in the sky, baby. Penthouse coming soon. Mark my word. What's today? November the 24th, 2024. Give me a good year, 2 years. I'm going to have me a penthouse, a mansion in the sky. Period. Manifestation.
An exorcism was performed on this house and it failed. Welcome to the Hinsdale House, the scariest house in all of America. Now, the story of the Hinsdale House is a very, very interesting one. This place is located in Hinsdale, New York, upstate New York, near Buffalo, and there have been a number of tragedies and stories associated with this property. For example, a child on a nearby farm was killed by a buzzsaw early in the 1900s. Two brothers were arguing in the forest behind the home one day when one brother took a shotgun and shot his brother, killing him. There's a tree on the front of the property that was allegedly used to hang people, including a famous hanging of a pregnant woman. And some of the earliest people that lived in the house are suspected to be serial killers. Yes, the current owner, Dan, has found bodies buried in the back part of the property. They still haven't figured out who the bodies belong to. They only know that they're there because they've taken out ground penetrating radar and figured out that there were bodies. They're working on getting them checked out and everything. But none of this even includes the exorcism and the possession of the Dandy family. Now, in the 1970s, kind of like something out of The Conjuring, the Dandy family moved into the Hinsdale House. And they experienced all sorts of violent paranormal activity. There would be swarms of bugs that would appear. They couldn't get any sleep. People were getting scratched, pushed, screamed at. And this was such a terrifying haunting that they sought the help of a local priest, Father Alphonsus, pictured right here. Now, he came in and performed what's known as a structural exorcism on the property. With the whole family present, this is widely documented. They even had a film crew from a New York university come out and film this entire process. And after this structural exorcism was completed, the film crew members swore they would never return to the property because of what they had seen and what they had heard during that process. Now, sadly, this exorcism failed. Only a short while after the exorcism, one of the family members ended up hanging herself. And the surviving members of the family to this day will tell you that this was the scariest thing they've ever experienced, and they wouldn't wish this on their worst enemy. There are also indigenous burial mounds just located right past the property line. So this place is like a gigantic vortex of just negative, strange energy. People have even reported seeing puckwudgies, wendigos, and skinwalkers in the woods surrounding the house. Obviously, I'm a paranormal investigator. I had to check the place out. I actually spent the night there back in March of this year, and let me tell you, it was one of the scariest experiences we've ever had. It was a totally different type of haunting, a different type of energy that just got into your mind. It works into your mind. It gives you violent thoughts, angry thoughts. And when I was sitting upstairs in the home where allegedly an investigator at one point had his eyes roll back into his head and his eyes turned black, I felt like a hand ran up my thigh and squeezed me on my buttocks. And so obviously you'd think that one time, the scary night, would be enough. But no, we recently returned last week to investigate. And this time when we went back, we brought an actor so we could recreate the exorcism that took place back in the 1970s. And let me tell you, that's the night when all hell broke loose. The full video is going to be on my YouTube channel on Monday, so be sure you don't miss it.
The Paranormal Files. I love him. He's always been in our videos since day one. Make sure y'all go support. I didn't even know he had a YouTube, so go run it up. Period. Okay, white boy. Thank you.
Want to hear a story? This story is going to take us to Sanford, Florida, location of the I-4 dead zone. Interstate 4 is a 132-mile freeway that connects Tampa with Daytona. About 200,000 motorists travel this road daily. It's long been known as one of the U.S.'s most dangerous highways. And there are a few reasons for this: high traffic volume, out-of-state tourists, ongoing construction projects, etc. But some people have wondered if it's not just plain cursed. And there is one quarter-mile stretch that very well may be. This area right here is the dead zone and has been listed as one of the most haunted roads in the South. And many strange things happen to people. People have reported seeing balls of light floating around the bridge. There's been reports of apparitions walking along it, and even phantom trucks racing towards drivers. Some truckers claim that their radios blast static in this section. And many people notice that their electronics quit working here. Cell signals are lost, phones lock up, and people that were already on the phone claim that ghostly voices interrupted their calls. This section also has an extremely high number of deadly car accidents, all of which help earn its nickname, the I-4 Dead Zone. And the Dead Zone has a long and deadly history. It was originally home to the Mayaca people, who were nearly wiped out by disease brought over by Spanish explorers. The Seminole then lived in the area for a time, until the Seminole Wars, and then the U.S. government moved in, and the Army built a couple of forts here. Then in 1887, Henry Sanford, a very influential businessman, developed 640 acres in this area as part of his Florida Land and Colonization Company, which was building orange groves across Florida. And this particular citrus colony was built right about here. And it was named St. Joseph's Colony. It was promoted as a Roman Catholic German colony in order to attract German immigrants to work it. And a Roman Catholic priest, Father Swinberg, was recruited to oversee it. A handful of families moved to the colony. They worked hard to build the land and build their community, aware of the danger of the dense forests and the wild animals, but completely unprepared for the mosquitoes. Same year that the colony began, in 1887, a yellow fever epidemic ripped through Florida. Entire towns were wiped out between 1887 and 1888. People were scared. Many people tried to leave Florida. First residents fell ill, an entire family of 4, who passed one by one, with no one left to give them their last rites, because the priest had been sent to Tampa to help the sick. He caught the yellow fever and died. So when that family passed, the rest of the residents hurried up and buried them on their property, marked their graves with 4 small wooden crosses, and got out of town. And a few years later, a fire broke out in the location of St. Joseph Colony, which burned down most of the remaining buildings. buildings, and the land of that failed colony sat abandoned for quite some time, despite the community of Lake Monroe growing around it, until 1905, when a man named Albert Hawkins bought the land, and he built his home in the section where that buried family used to live. And one day, Albert stumbled across those 4 graves on the corner of his property near the St. John riverbank. 4 old, rotting crosses sticking out of the high grass, surrounded by a rusty barbed wire fence that someone had put up at some point. This is where the legends of the dead zone really begin. Albert himself was a respectful man. He cleaned up the graves, but otherwise left them alone. Well, Albert ended up leasing parts of his property out to other farmers, and he warned all of them to stay away from the graves. Maybe there was already a legend about the ill fortune that would befall anyone who disturbed them. Or maybe Albert just sensed it, because bad luck did indeed strike those who tampered with that little cemetery. After Albert's death, one farmer tried to pull up the rusty barbed wire fence. He was struck by lightning. Then another decided to pull up the old rotting wooden crosses. He may have had a plan to replace them with newer ones, or maybe he was just getting rid of them. Either way, that very same day, his house burned to the ground. Then it's said that in the late 40s or early 50s, that a child was playing in the field where those graves were located, and either he or his dog dug a hole in one, and when he left the field, he was hit by a drunk driver. It's no wonder that that field became known as the Field of the Dead, and locals knew to stay far away from it. Until 1959, when the Hawkins family sold the entire property to the U.S. government for the construction of Interstate 4. At first, the graves were marked for relocation, but that didn't happen because the engineer decided, well, they were just some old bones. When it came time to even out the ground and elevate it to build the road, they dumped that dirt right on top of them. It was September 1960, and Hurricane Donna, a Category 4 hurricane, was moving through the Gulf, but luckily away from Florida. But the very first day, one of those trucks filled up and dumped that first load of fill dirt over those graves. That hurricane turned around. Its path took it directly down the planned construction of I-4 and straight to Sanford. It said that on September 10th of 1960, the eye of the storm was centered directly over the graves. The damage of that hurricane delayed construction for months. But eventually the interstate was completed and officially opened on March 8th of 1965. And that same day, it said an 18-wheeler lost control and jackknifed right above the spot where the graves were located, which is approximately right here. This is us standing on the spot on Google Maps. I don't know that I'd want to stand on the spot in real life. And to this day, this entire section right here of I-4 does appear to be a bit cursed. In the nearly 50 years since its opening, there have been over 200,000 accidents in the dead zone, many of them with fatalities. So if you're driving through Florida this summer and you got to hit this stretch, be extra careful, because it appears that the ghosts of I-4 do not play about their graves. Have any of y'all ever traveled across the dead zone, and did anything strange happen to you? Let me know.
Shit, I'm going to show respect if I got to drive that way. We're going to open the windows, throw out some flowers, speak loudly and good, and like, I don't know, honey, we're going to make sure we show them some respect, though. That's what we will do, and make sure that they know that we are showing them respect, and that they are remembered, and that they are being honored, and please don't hurt me, okay? Yeah, respect the dead, absolutely.
Are you ready for more Florida ghost stories? Let's talk about the red-eyed ghost boy of the Florida Everglades. Several people have seen this ghost, including a family that had a terrifying encounter with him. A boy, his cousin, and his aunt got into a canoe in the Everglades and started paddling. They had been paddling for about 15 minutes when the boy looked down into the water and saw a human figure swimming beneath them. The water was very shallow, and as the boy watched, this figure was moving through the sand and the mangroves that they were going past. He said the young boy seemed to be about 13 or 14 years old, with beautiful blonde hair and glowing red eyes with black bags underneath them. He says he sensed evil, sadness, and cruelty from this strange figure swimming in the water, and once the ghost boy had noticed that he was watching him, he quickly swam away and faded. The teenager was understandably spooked after this, but he told his family it was nothing. He just thought he had seen something in the water. Not even 5 minutes later, the teenage boy saw the ghost boy staring at him through a thick batch of mangroves. He focused his eyes and realized that the ghost boy was staring at him with hatred, and felt as though they had passed into this ghost's territory and needed to leave immediately. The canoe went into an open area of the river, and the cousin stood up trying to look at something. Suddenly, the wind picked up, tipping the canoe slightly, and the cousin fell into the water. The teenage boy stood up and reached his arm out to her, and then remembered the ghost boy that he had seen only moments before. He looked back through the mangroves, but the ghost boy was gone. He panicked and gave his hand to his cousin, trying to pull her back into the boat before the ghost boy might try to possibly drown her. He yelled at her, take my hand, get back into the boat," as she swam frantically towards them. She finally reached the canoe, and her cousin pulled her with both arms into the boat before any harm could befall her. When they got back to shore, the teenage boy looked into the water and realized that the ghost boy was watching them. When the ghost boy caught his eye, he winked and slowly went back into the water. The cousin all of a sudden yelled that her back hurt, and when they lifted her shirt, they were shocked to see that a gigantic black and blue bruise was forming. Several years later, the boy, now a man, returned to the spot to ask a worker about the ghost boy he had seen. They said that several years ago, a boy and his friends were playing around in the water and placed a bet seeing who could hold their breath the longest. The boy who died had been from a poor family and wanted the money desperately, which sadly cost him his life. It is said that if you manage to find yourself in this certain area of the Everglades and look into the water, you too might just see a boy floating there with bright red eyes.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes it's better if you don't know what's lurking in the dark. The following story was submitted by one of my followers out of Homestead, Florida. And this happened to her when she was 28 years old. She was working at Burger King at the time, and she got off work around midnight, and her ex-boyfriend was picking her up and taking her home. Just before she got home, she got a call from her best friend who lived just about 5 minutes away, and she was freaking out. She's like, "You need to come to my house and get here quick." There was something weird outside of her house next to her neighbor's place. Just really weird noises, and she was hearing all these strange things, and she was terrified. They arrived just a few minutes later, and as they're pulling up to her house, it's a complex, they see her friend actually running out to the car to meet him. And she is just saying over and over, "This is so crazy. This is freaking crazy." Her boyfriend is looking in the direction, which is over toward her neighbors, and he actually pulls his car up over to the yard and shining his high beams in the direction where she's pointing. Just outside the neighbor's window with the high beams now focused on it, she said you could see something very small. It started out tiny and just making these very unnatural, just creepy noises. She said you couldn't even know how to explain them. But as they watched this thing that started out very small, she said it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It finally reached a point, she said, where it was just ginormous. It was tall and big. It had gray looking fur. It had like gray color and piercing red eyes. Now all three of them are freaking out. Her friend hops in the car and they speed away, and keep in mind this lady said she just lived maybe 5 minutes away, so they all go back to her house. Her boyfriend started freaking out, probably worse than they were. He just said he had to leave, and he left his girlfriend and her friend at her house. She was very familiar with the spiritual world. Her mom is half Indian and her dad was half Mexican, so she started placing salt all around the house to protect them from evil spirits. And on the patio, she said she put vinegar. They both just had the overwhelming feeling that this thing was coming and looking for them. They started hearing noises inside and outside the house, and they start freaking out big time. Her cousin actually showed up to stop by and check on them, but after she heard their story, she just started making fun of them. She was laughing at them and just, I guess thought they were crazy. As they're standing out in front of her house near the gate, she said there's this creepy car that just keeps passing by her house, just going back and forth. It had no lights on, nothing. It was just very, very creepy. And this actually scared all the girls, so they hop in her cousin's Jeep. They're all in the Jeep now, getting ready to leave, and they said there's this creepy man who's standing near her parents' mailbox. Has no features, just pitch black. You can't make out any kind of identifying marks. They finally get to her cousin's house, and she said they go in, and she basically is just having a meltdown at this point, completely freaking out. She's trying to process what all just happened, and her dad actually comes to check on her, and she tells him that she thinks she may need to go to the hospital because this has totally blew her mind. She has never experienced anything like this, and they are just beyond consolable and living in pure, absolute terror. Daylight finally rolls around, and she said around 7 a.m. she actually goes to her parents' house, and she's still pretty much freaked out by this. But she does tell him what happened. She goes through the whole story, explained what they saw, and everything that happened afterwards. He then proceeds to tell her he thinks what happened was her neighbors who had just had a baby, and keep in mind this is where this creature was, in front of their complex, their apartment or house. But he said he thinks someone put a voodoo curse on this newborn baby. If you've ever experienced anything like this, out of Florida or anywhere else, or if you know anything about voodoo, let me know in the comments. You guys have a great day. God bless.
Something that I think about a lot is when I first made this account, somebody reached out to me with a true scary story that had happened to her, and I still think about it at least once a week. So the woman who reached out to me was born and raised in North Florida, and her family had a farm. I don't remember exactly what they grew, but they had a lot of acreage because of that. From what I remember, when she was like 15 or 16, she's walking through the woods on her family's property, and she starts hearing her name called, and it's a very deep, kind of gravelly voice calling her name that she doesn't recognize. She looks around thinking maybe her brother's friend is playing a joke on her. She doesn't see anybody, and she finally gets so freaked out that she turns around and starts walking home. But while she's walking home, she feels like she is being followed, and she starts hearing branches snapping behind her and feels like she's being watched. She heard those branches snapping because the woods had gone completely quiet. That night, she has a very vivid dream that some old creature that lives on the property that her family owns is stalking her and wants her to worship it, basically summoning her. In her dream, it is essentially one of the old gods. It's summoning her to go back into the forest and lay down, like face down, and it will come to collect her. None of her brothers or her sister or even her parents have experiences with this thing. It seems to only be attracted to her, and over the next few years that she's still living on that property, it seems to get closer and closer to her every time she has an encounter with it. At one point, their family dog is found mutilated in the field on the edge of the wood line, and it looks like something has torn out its internal organs, and they're beside themselves. They have no idea how this could have happened or what could have done it to this big dog. Every time she hears this gravelly voice call her name, it sounds a little closer until one day she's walking through the woods and she hears it like within a foot behind her and feels a warm breath tickle the back of her neck and her ear. She spins around and sees this huge black dog standing in front of her, covered in grass and twigs like it had just been rolling around on the ground. Now, from what I remember, rather than opening its mouth, this creature somehow communicates telepathically with her and essentially tells her that she is never getting away. She's never leaving this farm, and she must submit to it and pretty much be this creature's slave or prisoner, essentially telling her that it owns her. So these are only the parts that I remember, so I'm sure I'm leaving some things out. But that night, her one brother goes to football practice, her other siblings go somewhere else, so she's home alone waiting for her parents to get home. All of a sudden, she starts hearing this weird tapping outside her house, like on the other side of the wall, and it sounds like whoever is making this rhythmic beat on the outside is slowly walking closer and closer to the window that can look into the room that she's in. She is frozen, petrified. Like, she can't move, she can't scream. She is terrified because this thing that's been stalking her is outside and she's alone. From my understanding, the thing had never got close to their house before. It had always stayed in the woods or in the field unless it was infiltrating her dreams. She pulls the blanket over her head, she's squeezing her eyes shut, and she is just praying to whatever will hear her to please protect her from this thing. The whole time she's hiding, she hears the tapping on the outside of the house getting closer and closer and closer. Finally, it stops right outside the window that was close to where she was sitting on the couch. She doesn't hear it for several minutes, so she pulls the blanket over her face, and she looks, and of course the blinds were open, rookie mistake, but she looks, and what she sees is what looks like her brother wearing his Letterman jacket, and he has this weirdly large grin on his face with teeth that don't look right. His eyes are completely black, and he has blood dripping down the side of his mouth. I still remember the way she describes this next part because it freaked me out so bad, but while she's watching this thing and it's still smiling way too big, it slowly starts turning its head to its shoulder until it's at like a 90-degree angle, and then it opens its mouth and lets out the most blood-curdling shriek she has ever heard. She starts sobbing hysterically, she's hyperventilating, she is so fucking scared, and I would be too. The next thing she remembers is she wakes up on the floor with her family surrounding her, asking her if she's okay. She has no idea what happened, doesn't know how she fainted or when. So finally, she's a grown woman, she can move away from the farm, and she puts as much distance between it and her as she possibly can and moves to the Pacific Northwest. But the reason she had reached out to me initially was because she had started having those dreams again of this thing calling her back to the farm, and she didn't know how long she could fight it because the pull was so strong. She felt like she was going to end up going back there, and she was afraid she was going to die. This is why I and other creators tell you guys, if you hear something calling your name, no you did not. If you see something weird in the woods, no you did not. Ignore it and try to get to safety as quickly as you can.
Oh man, whoa.
This is absolutely the best witness testimony coming forward from the Miami, Florida alien incident surrounding Bayside Market. His name is Fitz, and what he has to say is astounding. Take a look at this video, listen to what he has to say, tell me what you think. Note, I have brand new footage of these interdimensional beings that I will be posting shortly.
She need to have on a suit if she's gonna be so serious.
I was there at the Bayside
with
Mall
the news
with my
reporter
family,
haircut.
and we all saw exactly what happened. Don't pay attention to a lot of the videos that are out there. I feel like a lot of people are trying to use this for clout. But what happened, we all saw what happened, and it's pretty serious. It's been a few days, and our whole family's processing it, but I think we've kind of accepted that we were a part of this weird experience and moment. So basically what happened was I was there with my brother Brian, my sister and my nephew. We were looking for shoes for my nephew, and then we see a whole crowd of people outside the store just running out in a direction. So as soon as we saw it, we were like, oh shit, what's going on? So we immediately ran out with our nephew, and we picked him up and we ran out and we followed the crowd. And then about a few seconds later, as soon as we started running, my nephew, he's autistic, so he was pointing behind us and he was saying blankie, which he'll usually say whenever he feels unsafe or scared. And he was pointing behind us. So me and my brother, we look behind us, and then we see these 3 9-10 foot tall creatures. I'm not gonna say aliens. Everyone keeps saying it's aliens. I'm not saying aliens because I don't know what it was. None of us really knew. Everyone, all of us stopped in our track. We, a whole bunch of people were pointing at it. There were other people running. There was a crowd. As soon as it made itself more apparent, it looked like it was glitching, not like a computer pixelation, but like a wavy glitch. And whatever maybe was covering them had, unveiled or whatever. It looked like a glitch, man. It like a weird glitch in the Matrix or whatever. And then you could see it in its full form, all 3 of them. And then, they were all black. You saw eyes, and you could faintly see like lips. But, I was about 20 feet away, because obviously everybody gave it distance, right? And, they're tall. So we all just looked at them. They were just standing there. And the thing that was a little bit weird, well, it was clearly observing us. It was sentient, right? Or whatever. I don't know, but it was aware of us. It looked at us, the whole crowd, and then as soon as it started walking with its big legs, it started almost glitching again, we all ran. My brother immediately said, yo, let's go. He grabbed me by the shoulder. We bolted out of there. And for anyone that's saying, where's the footage? Yeah, I know. I don't have any footage, and I'll explain why. Because when I saw it, I was in complete fear. It was something that I completely froze, man. I don't care if I sound like a bitch about it. I froze, and I don't care who you are. I feel like when you're seeing something paranormal, it's different than when you're seeing a fight. Yeah, you'll probably want to record that and put it on World Star or whatever. When you see something paranormal,
shock. Is this real?
That's different, because your reality, you can't comprehend what you're seeing. A fight, you kind of get it. 2 people are fighting. You can comprehend that. Something like this, none of us could comprehend. Your first instinct is it ain't to take out your phone and start recording. Your first instinct is I've never seen this before. What is this? Is it gonna hurt me or my family? That was my first number 1 priority. So if you don't believe me, I get it. It's fine. It is silly. I'm sure that someone had footage from that night. If you did, please contact me just so we actually have it. So anyways, as soon as the creature started moving, we all just jetted out there. We ran out the front doors. And, you know, obviously, like, we see a whole sea of cop cars, mad cop cars that were other
Story
ones
does
coming
sound
in.
similar to others
and we
that
ran
I've
with our
heard.
nephew, and then, you know, a cop stopped us. You know, they took us a little to a bit of a safer area behind the cars. And they asked us what we saw. And we told them what we saw. You know, they wrote it down, and they asked everybody to check their phones. Not everybody, because there was mad people like running away too, right? They couldn't get everyone. So I'm wondering if someone's gonna post a video. But yeah, they looked through everyone's phone. I didn't record anything, so I was fine. None of us recorded anything, so we were basically free to go.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. Like, they want to
but in
make
the
sure
distance,
whatever's
you could still
recorded
see, like,
doesn't get out.
You know, I didn't see the beings come out the door, right? But you could see on the side of the building, kind of like that clip that everyone's seeing, that it was slowly walking. And it was like, it wasn't cloaking or glitching or whatever. It was walking. So I don't know if it seemed more like it was an interdimensional thing. Someone's coming into our dimension or whatever, a bunch of them. And I think, you know, it was just interesting, the police response, because there was a whole bunch of them. This ain't for no teenagers. No, this was for something way bigger. And it almost seemed like the cops had like a
protocol
already made strategy for it, because they surrounded one of the beings with like all their police cars. They blared it up even louder because you could hear that it was louder. Maybe as an attempt to like distract it or let it know like, hey, you don't belong here, right? And you know, they were trying to like slowly move alongside with it. But I didn't see anything else after that, because me and my family, we got out of there. We went into our car. We went home, because, you know, we had our nephew with us, and we went to make sure, like, you know, he was okay. So I'm still kind of like processing everything. Like, it's weird, but at the same time, I'm glad that we weren't alone in seeing it, because like it was a whole bunch of us that saw it. And it feels kind of like, you know, you're part of something like really big, but at the same time it's confusing, because like you want to kind of like show people. Like, I wish I took a video, man, like, because people are gonna probably think I'm crazy, right? But yeah, I'm left with more questions. Like, we were all kind of left with more questions than anything else. Yeah, I'm not saying that it's aliens. I know everybody's saying it's aliens. I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is I saw something come in through like a weird glitchy, maybe a portal or whatever. And it was like they were pretty tall. You could see some facial. They were very dark, like and shiny. But I can't tell if it was like a wet shiny or like a metallic shiny.
I wish I was there.
And, you know,
I wish
long
I was
limbs.
there. I want to see.
Long limbs, long fingers. They were definitely humanoid in shape, and shadowy. But maybe that shadowiness was like from a glitch or whatever, like whatever cloaking maybe they had like fell off. But yeah, it felt like something was coming into our world or whatever, like a fucking Stranger Things episode. But it was crazy, man. Like, I do wish that we took video. Obviously I was scared, bro. Like, we were all scared. Like, it's different when you see it in real life. I doubt that we're gonna see anything like that ever again. I think it was like it feels like it was just like a momentary glitch, or like, oh, they showed up and maybe they're not gonna pop in again. But I'm not gonna go back to Bayside. That whole incident freaked us out, you know. And, you know, hit me up if you were there, if you got video. Just because, like, I feel like we should all talk about it. Like, I feel like the people that were there should all communicate and talk about what happened.
privately.
You know, anyone that wasn't there, like, you wouldn't get it. It's not an experience that's.
I agree with you, brother. If you were a part of that experience, I think you guys should make a group chat, something, a WhatsApp chat. I don't like WhatsApp. I hate WhatsApp, but something, because you guys are the ones who experienced it, and you guys are the only one who can speak your truth to each other and understand where the other one is coming from. My opinion. But you reached the end of another video. Thank you for being here with me. I appreciate your time, baby. I do not take it for granted whatsoever. I love you guys. Thank you for spending your time with me. From the internationals to the natives of the America, I appreciate y'all. My Canadians, my Caribbeaners, my overseasers. Whatever, baby. Welcome me to your house. Let me know where I can come to, because I'm showing up, turned up. What's up? Y'all already know how I get down. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure you give it to who? Everybody that you love and them niggas that you don't. Okay? Let's take out the N-word. And those people that you don't. Okay? All right, y'all. Hit me in the links. You know how to get a hold of me. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And then go check out my son's Instagram too. I know y'all said y'all wanted to follow him, but you couldn't find him. So the link is down below. Hit it up. All right, I love y'all. Ashe.